Hello again everyone, Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Donald Sterling's natal chart. Well, first thing I want to get with you on is that many of you know that on April 25th, 2014, TMZ reported that LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling had at the time, it was apparently, I don't know if they had it confirmed then, but it's confirmed now evidently, that they came out with an audio recording of Donald Sterling making some derogatory and disparaging remarks connected regarding black people, and specifically legendary pro basketball player Earvin Magic Johnson. The NBA took those words very seriously, and on April 29th, 2014, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver fined Sterling $2.5 million, which was the maximum amount he could fine him due to NBA provisions or what have you. He also banned Sterling for life from the NBA. Now, the NBA needs a minimum 3/4 majority vote from the remaining owners of the league to sell the Clippers, which I think will probably happen. I think it's either going to be unanimous, or they're going to get maybe one holdout. They might get one compassionate person that doesn't want him to go or something. But anyway, people, I'm going to be doing something slightly unorthodox and oblique. I'm going to be bringing this camera over momentarily to the picture of Donald Sterling's natal chart, and I'm going to dissect some things in it and explain why this all maybe went down. A lot of reasons why this went down on him on this day astrologically, and you're going to see something on there, especially one thing that's going to be mind-boggling. You understand, because of this, I told you I had predicted pretty much at one point, you may have remembered, that something monumental in the sports world was going to happen right around this Cardinal Grand Cross period, and you're going to see why. I really strongly believe maybe that this happened to this person, and he was in the center of the sports world right about this time. So anyway, people, let me bring the camera over to the picture of his natal chart, and let's see. We'll bring it right over here. Let me see if we can get a little beat on it. Might not pick the whole thing up. I'm going to try the best I can. You might not be able to see the bottom too well, and I apologize for that. But anyway, people, first thing I'm going to talk about is the ruler of his third house in his solar natal chart based on Western astrology, Placid's house system. I didn't have a time of birth for him, so I did a solar chart. So anyway, ruler of his third in his solar chart is Gemini, is on the third house cusp. The ruler would be in the 12th, so that's, which is right in here. The thing is on this is that third house was in cusp as garrulous Gemini, and obviously may have talked a little bit too much. Communication and solitude, seclusion, and this could indicate a lot of private communications, which seems to fit him. Now, he also has Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Uranus in the 12th house. And the Venus in the 12th could indicate clandestine love affairs, Mars about private sexual liaisons. He may have some innovative, radical ideas that may be suppressed due to Uranus in the 12th. And I pretty much talked about Mercury from that house ruler being in the 12th, and this just emphasizes very secretive private communications, which he may make some outspoken remarks considering it's in Aries. Anyway, the next thing is that Venus is in Pisces, and look right here, and this could indicate possibly being maybe a little bit delusional, very idealistic in connection with love, maybe unrealistic as well in the love department, may not see the downside of love interests, and may possibly overlook transgressions connected with people in love, romantic life. Anyway, next thing is his ruler of his 12th, which is 12th of his solar house, solar chart, be Pisces. The ruler Neptune would be in the 5th, right here, and this could indicate that secret enemies can impact his love/romantic life, and ambiguity, confusion could be injected into love and enjoyment with him. Now, now Saturn in his solar chart is in the 11th house right here, and that actually would be in a Yod configuration. And when you look at the apex planet in the Yod configuration, the one that makes the inconjunct to the two planets that form the sextile, in this case it would be this planet, Pluto, and with the moon in Virgo, this is the apex planet right here, you could say. And in this particular case is that you look at him with this and it shows that he can be very the part of him that's industrious and working hard in a prodigious organization or group is this finger point, and that really shows where he could really flourish and do well. This is basically the finger pointing him into action. If he could alleviate the tension, of course, caused by the inconjunct here and the inconjunct which is right here. And the next thing is he has the ruler of the 1st in the 12th. And again, this is reinforcing his need, I believe, to be private. See, Venus rules Taurus, Venus in the 12th house in Pisces, and it shows he may be strongly, again, emphasizing the solitude, seclusion, may be nebulous, obscure, vague, may come across to others as possibly a Pisces to some degree, because the 12th house does correspond with Pisces, and his chart ruler right here is in Pisces. Now the next thing we'll talk about is that he has the moon in Virgo based on his solar chart, which it could be Libra if he's born later, but I'm leaning toward the Virgo. This could make him, on the positive side, very analytical and intellectual, very punctilious with details, but at the same time could be very judgmental and critical. And I think this, might come out in some of the racial statements that he's made. Now, at this time, Uranus was transiting the 12th house, and I believe still is. Now, this could indicate, this would be the 12th house here, and the Uranus at the time was in Aries, which is, and still is, I believe it's transiting this 12th house, and was at the time. And this could indicate secrets being unveiled, chaos, confusion, maybe even more chaos in his private life, unanticipated changes and upheavals, and things that he was trying to conceal and keep private. I think this indicates strongly why it came out. And the next thing is Jupiter at the time, transiting his 3rd house. At the time, Jupiter was like 13 degrees, or maybe 13 or 14 degrees in Cancer. And obviously this shows that this expanded the 3rd house. I want to say it was squaring his natal Jupiter, and it was also opposing his MC or midheaven. Now the Jupiter going through his 3rd house had expanded communications, and the square to natal Jupiter may have indicated philosophical differences with others in general, and things what he had supported may not, maybe he was becoming cognizant that maybe they weren't supporting some of his outlandish beliefs, perhaps, in this case. Now, it could show that he may have possibly, with the opposition to the MC at the time, this could show some adversarial situations with people in power. Let's see, the Jupiter would have been 13 or 14 Cancer. We look at the midheaven position in his solar chart, 19 Capricorn, and that could indicate, like I said, some contentious situations with superiors, people in authority, which in this case was people like the commissioner of the NBA, I would imagine. He may have this could be about trying to extricate himself from a relationship with somebody perhaps in this particular situations as well. So anyway, The next thing is his the transiting sun was conjunct his natal sun on this day. This was actually a day before his birthday. This happened on April 25th. His birthday, as you can see, April 26, 1934. Sun was like 4 or 5 degrees Taurus at the time, and it seems like, I guess it's safe to say, that some light from the sun was shining on his inner character, and it shed some light on maybe his basic wants, and or maybe what he didn't want, perhaps in this case, as far as making a statement about someone not bringing blacks to the into the NBA, into his stadium, I believe. Now, another thing is, he had the transiting Uranus was squaring, transiting Uranus was squaring his MC at the time. And Uranus, as I was talking about before, was in his 12th house, was transiting his 12th. And at this time, squaring his MC, this could indicate some chaos, unanticipated career changes, relationships with authority figures may have been adversarial, rebellious attitude towards supervisors is what this indicates as well. Also, perhaps rebellious attitude toward the community, and some just iconoclastic behavior. Now, the thing I wanted to get with is that, okay, getting back to his yacht and his chart, which is again right here, Saturn is the apex, Pluto and the moon are the two planets making the sextile and making the inconjunct to this planet. Now people with yacht in their horoscope may have strong purpose, and which the direction is indicated by apex and yacht, and this could be connected with maybe forming relationships with prominent friendships or whatever, with prominent people in a prominent position of authority, being the fact that Saturn's in the 11th. Now, the thing is, people perhaps even maybe preordained monumental achievement if they could work through the exasperation which is created, of course, by the two inconjuncts, which is one here and then the other one from here to here. So that is one thing which I felt was interesting. But the big grand finale of this whole thing, and you're probably wondering, why did this happen? Why did this transpire with him? Why did he, I'm sorry, I'll move this back. Why did this all of a sudden, why was he such a focal point in the sports world and figured so prominently, and something of this magnitude transpired with him right on when the Grand Cross was actually still intact, but a day after it was in that, exact configuration? Well, I'm going to explain. I'm going to show you. Actually, if you want, people, you could pause your if you want to pause this for a minute or two and you want to analyze and try to look. I had to analyze and scrutinize for a little bit, but it took me some time, but I figured it out. So you could pause it and then look and see if you can guess what it is, and I'm going to show you. This is what happened. He has a grand cardinal cross in his natal horoscope, and I was a little flabbergasted, but I'm not really that surprised, because I could see, I think this is really perhaps the main predominant reason why all this went down and why things went haywire for him on this day. Now, this is subjective and discretional, but I'm using it. Some people that do talk about astrology and do charts or whatever will use the MC or ascendant in the configuration. Others won't. I'm going to use it. This is one point right here, is MC, 19 Capricorn. The other point, you look right here, 18 degrees Mercury in Aries. And we look at the Pluto in Cancer right here. And then the other point, Jupiter in Libra. You have the two oppositions. I'll show you here. And you have the four squares. You have the 1, 2, 3, and 4. It all adds up, and that's why things went haywire for him. And the things that were impacted, obviously, 12th house, the house of secrets, private matters, his home life. Even though Jupiter was in his 3rd house, it made, I guess you could say, a long conjunction perhaps with Pluto on this day, so it probably wreaked havoc on his home and domestic life as well, his work life right here, and obviously impacted his daily routines, I would imagine, and things here, the career, because Pluto, even though in the 9th house, was conjunct his midheaven on this day. So obviously experiencing the upheaval and change associated with his career. We look at all this, and it's so, I don't know if ironic is the word. It's amazing how it worked out this way. But I think it's very clear this was the main reason why things went down for him like this on this day. I think it's just too coincidental. Not only did he have Cardinal Grand Cross in his chart, the Cardinal Grand Cross chart was transpiring in the stars at this time, and all the planets that were involved in it pretty much conjuncted those 4 points in his own Cardinal Grand Cross. Now the Jupiter and the Pluto, I think, was a little more than 8 degrees as far as the transiting Jupiter in Cancer, and his was 13 or 14 degrees, and Pluto was 22 degrees Cancer in his natal chart, 2238 his natal chart. So you can make an argument that's a long conjunction. So really, essentially, you had 3 conjunctions that I think were definite on this day, and then you had, I guess you can make an argument that there was a long one between transiting Jupiter and his natal Pluto on that day, being like maybe 8 or 9 degrees apart from each other. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Donald Sterling's natal chart, and stay tuned next time, where I'm going to be continuing my North Node in the sign series. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis on a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.